I like to say practicing mindfulness or practicing what I call the 5 superpowers, all of that stuff makes you zone ready. But if you try to get into the zone or flow, you won't.
All right, people, welcome back to The Rabbit Hole. I'm Martin from Holistic Hooper and Basketball Society. This is Holistic Talks, tapping into the zone. We're talking about the zone, meditation, mindfulness, and everything you need to know about what it means and what it takes to really tap in. Don't forget to go down and click subscribe, stay connected with this channel, join the Basketball Society, and tap in for a lot more basketball content. The brother I'm getting ready to talk to needs no introduction. If you want to know more about him, Google him and do your research and find out why this brother is who he is. He's the author of The Mindful Athlete: Secrets to Pure Performance, and he is one of the gurus, one of the pioneers in the field. Enjoy the conversation and get ready to tap into the zone with my man, George Mumford. Tapping into the zone it's not as just straightforward as, okay, I'm going to take 3 nasal breaths and now, okay, I'm in the zone now, right? Like it's not as, I mean, it almost is that simple, but it's not that straightforward.
Yeah, well, there's way more involved in it. So I like to say practicing mindfulness or practicing what I call the 5 superpowers, all of that stuff makes you zone ready. But if you try to get into the zone or flow, you won't. But there's some things that we know that that are necessary for the triggers, and the triggers are having a clear idea of what it is you're trying to do in the moment, and then so you have to be challenged a little bit beyond your skill level. So if you look at a graph where you have the 2 axes, the vertical axis is challenges. So when your challenge is a high, if your skill level is low, then you'll be in anxiety. If your skill level is high and your challenges are low, you'll be in boredom. So we live most of our time between boredom and anxiety. So you want to have high challenges and high skills. So I say playing in the zone is somewhere between comfort and discomfort. So what you have to do is you get these feedback loops where you're adapting and adjusting to things on the go, on the fly. And so that's why it's a continuous application. It's a continuous growing, learning, growing, and developing. And at the same time, keep challenging yourself. So you get, so you're challenged, because even the way that the brain works is that it'll fire, once you start something, it'll make a groove. But once it gets groove, it stops firing. So it's like a step function. So you get in the flow, and then it becomes normalized, and then you have to challenge yourself so that you keep doing that step function. So everything is changing, so it's not the same. And it's when we are challenged that we play our best, if we are willing to stay focused and to stay calm. Like Bruce Lee talks about being like water. You have to say yes to whatever is happening, and how do you relate to it in a way where you're moving towards your goal. So if you're learning how to dribble and you do the crossover, then at some point, that's fine, but then you got to add another piece to it. You have the scout and says, he only goes right. So to add complexity, you got to learn how to go left, or learn how to do some kind of crossover or spin move to get you there. And like, okay, he goes over his left shoulder. Okay, so now he goes up and under. You keep adding these things. And so it's more about learning and growing, being a learner, and just continuing to expand your capacity to act. But at the same time, challenge yourself so that you are in a high state of arousal. It's almost like anxiety, because it's uncomfortable, but you get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So you can have flow throughout your day if you keep challenging yourself and you keep pushing yourself, but you have to have clarity, and it has to be important. But it's based on fundamentals. You can't just be doing anything. It has to be predicated on how things work. Right. So there's principles involved when you dribble the ball. There's principles involved when you shoot. There's principles involved when you do things. What are the basic fundamentals? And you master those.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Eric here, co-founder of Holistic Hooper, as well as co-founder and owner of Stretch Plus. Now, first off, I hope you all are enjoying tapping into the zone, especially if you're new to the meditation and mindfulness game. These interviews will help you kind of get started, as well as kind of help you just get through whatever type of doubts you're having. It's truly an honor to be able to bring this out and give you guys these tools and show you all these awesome interviews with these awesome people. So thank you for that. Tap into the zone.
I was talking to Laura Mitchell-Wild recently. I asked her if being a good person could make me a better basketball player. She said she feels like it can, but really what it is being an expansive person. It's the ability to expand yourself as a person that will then most likely translate into you becoming a better basketball player because you're willing to expand. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes. So if you think about it from the Buddhist perspective, they talk about morality or integrity or workability. So where I practiced a lot was in the city. It's in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And before you get to the meditation hall, there's a store 24. So if I go in the store 24 and rob it and go in and try to sit and meditate, every time a car comes by or every time a siren sounds, I'm gonna be distracted.
Right.
So that's why we call it right mindfulness, right concentration, and right wisdom, because I know, when you're really good at robbing banks and you don't get caught or you're doing some kind of crime, they are mindful, they are concentrated, but it's not right. So it's about integrity. It's about doing the right thing, because now you're establishing goodwill, and to the degree that you do that, it's easier for you to rest and be at peace. There's this still small voice inside that knows when we're doing something right. We call that conscience, and it's easily drowned out. But when we drown it out, it costs something. That means we got to repress, suppress, deny parts of ourselves. So we're not working on all cylinders. So we have to understand it's not about right or wrong. It's about what works and what doesn't work. Like in the Bible, it says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, right? It's like you got to be of one mind and you got to be focused on what you're doing and all of that other stuff. And when we have an argument or when we do something or we're being mean to ourselves or others, that creates clutter that has an impact on our ability to be present. And so it's not like being a goody two shoes. It's about, no, if you want to be at peace, then you can't be doing the BS or the stuff that's out of alignment with your basic goodness, which you know is not right. If you listen, if you be still and know, you understand that. And so do you make mistakes? Yeah. Do you do things? Yeah. But that's what forgiveness and moral shame is for. Moral shame, it's like I'm embarrassed or I'm ashamed of myself, like the way I was taught, because I did the wrong thing when I knew better. Dr. Maya Angelou says, when you know better, you do better. So you make a mistake. The sin is to be against yourself or to do something or to be off your aim. And so when you create a sin, you apologize and you get back on track. And you say, okay, I'm not going to do that again. It's that simple, but we take it to a whole other level.
Right.
But it's about peace of mind. It's about having your mind be able to rest in the moment.
I want to talk about the present moment. I could be, really working on the present moment. I'm focused on and then in 5 minutes, the moment in 5 minutes might get away from me. I might feel like wait, I lost it. I forgot, right?
When we're doing improv, if you say something, I have to accept it and work with it. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So I have to say yes to it and then build on that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it is. It's like, so this moment sets up the next moment. You might be swimming upstream or you might be swimming across the stream and adapting to what's happening. Then it's like you're being carried by the current. It'll get to the point where you're doing moments, but then you get into a flow.
Yeah.
That's what they mean. And it's effortless. It just happens. So if you understand those conditions, you understand you have to be challenged a little bit beyond your skill level. Or if we use Dr. Benson's breakout principle, it's like you got to struggle. I mean, you're working hard, you're struggling. And then once you surrender or you let it go, or you have to detach yourself or just let go of that mindset, those thoughts, those emotions, and just go to something else. And just by that surrender of it, then we have access. So it's like you try hard, then you stop trying, and then what you're trying to do, it just happens.
Yo, so if you're a hooper that needs a new routine for working out or just stretching or just keeping yourself active on a daily basis with just simple stuff, tap into our new workout bundle. You get 3 workouts and you get a guided meditation. So we're going to help you tap in, get into a routine, get into a rhythm, do them for a couple of weeks, and I guarantee you will feel like a different player. There's a book written by a guy named Joe Himes, Zen in the Martial Arts. You know about that? I found it, oh man, I found it fascinating. But there was a great Zen story parable in there he told about a student that showed up to the master's dojo, and he insisted that the master give him time, and he said, "Master, well, actually no, he asked him, how long will it take for me to become a master, to work real hard?" He said 10 years. So he said, "Well, I don't really have 10 years. Like, what if I work harder than all your students every day? I wake up every morning, I go hard, and I outbeat everybody." Master said 20 years. Like, well, all right, well, what if I just quit everything, kill my whole life, and I spend every waking moment here every day with you, and I just bust my butt, I work, and I'm just the best. Well, how long then? He said 30 years. And he said, well, how come every time I say I'm going to work harder, you're saying that it's gonna take longer? You're focused so much on becoming this master. The more you say you're going to do, it's going to take you longer.
Yes. So that's the idea. I have this phrase I like to use is, as long as you focus on how you're doing, you're not focused on what you're doing. So that's why it takes longer, because you're less present. It's like, slow motion gets you there quicker. It's the tortoise. By not trying to be a master, you'll be a master faster. I know I'm rapping a little bit, but that's what it is.
You giving them bars right now, George.
I'm just saying, flow on the go to grow. And what it's the non-doing. It's to just manage the moment and let it take you where it's going to take you. But you can see the mountaintop and say, okay, this is a mountaintop. But if it's 1,000 miles away, it starts in the first step. And if I can keep it in the moment and make sure I'm moving in the right direction, every once in a while I look up and say, okay, I'm going in the right direction. Then I go, oh, I got off path, just get back on. That's all it is. But it's too simple and we're complicated. We're looking for something exquisite when it's just good old blue collar. Just do the next thing and do it as well as you can. And if you can bring some enthusiasm and some joy to it, it's going to be even better. So it's the journey, not the destination. And we hear that. That's why Bruce Lee talks about be like water. What is he saying? He said a cup that is full cannot receive anything. So you have to have an empty cup to learn. So you have to empty your mind. You have to have a beginner's mind, what we talk about, and just see things with fresh and new eyes.
In your work with, Michael, was that something that he was ready to do right away?
No, he was already doing it. I was just explaining it to him what he was doing and how he could do it so that he could level up even more. So by the time I saw him in 1995, I had been working with the Bulls for 18 months, and he took a hiatus. When he came back, and what I noticed about him was he acted like he was trying to make the team. So the way he practiced and the way he played was no difference. He's kicking everybody's butt. He's winning everything. It's just one speed in terms of I'm dominating. That's just who I am. And so if you go back to his high school when he got cut from his high school basketball team, he said to himself, I'm never going to get cut again. And he used that as motivation to level up. And when he quit because he couldn't challenge himself. So he knows if he can't challenge himself, he won't be playing at that level he wants to play at. So he had to go away for a while and get back to where he felt like he could be there, he could be present, and that he was challenged.
What's been your experience and observations in terms of the mind or even just the soul of a basketball player?
The reality of a basketball player, especially NBA basketball player, is they're dealing with anxiety all the time, because there's anxiety of not being selected, getting hurt and ending a career, anxiety of, making enough money, or, just there's always that anxiety of playing well instead of not. I don't care who you are or what you are. You look at this quarter, one side is tail. So that's my potential. That's my freedom. The other side of that coin is uncertainty or anxiety. They come together. So you have to embrace it. But the difference between MJ and Kobe, an elite athlete, and a regular athlete or novice is the elite athlete will embrace the anxiety, knowing the anxiety is going to get them to a high state of arousal that gets them to flow. Wow. So they see it as a challenge and they bring more energy into it. Most people, they see it and they withdraw energy and they lower their standards because they're seeking homeostasis, the lack of stress. They want to chillax or chill, and they don't realize that you can have this relaxed alertness called hurricane, where you're doing things, you're seeing things, but it's how you interpret what happens. And for those, when you see it, as some people will see it like, okay, I made a mistake, I'm a failure, instead of saying, no, that's episodic, that's just an event, and it's feedback. It's telling you what you need to learn and practice. So if you can approach it like a baby who's learning how to walk and say, oh man, this is great. Now, because you're in a positive mindset, then you're going to see more clearly, and you're going to keep persisting or getting comfortable being uncomfortable and keep moving forward. And then you're going to find yourself in flow. You're going to find yourself, because you struggle and then you let it go. And then there's flow. I don't know about you, but how many times have you lost something and you stop looking for it, and that's when you find it? And we can do it. And this is my thing with Kobe. I talk about all the time. When I first year working with the Lakers, Kobe was like, he was trying to score 35 points on every shot he made. And I said, dude, I just said, Kobe, because this is me, I'm kind of nonchalant in the way I work with them. It wasn't like we had sessions, but most of my engagements were just talking to him, and he's warming up for a game. And I said, Kobe, the best way to score is not to try to score. Just like the master told him, okay, if you just focus on the moment. He had 16 points in the first quarter.
When you said, did it click? Like, when you looked him in the eye, like, was he like, what are you talking about? Or he got it right away?
Listen, see, one thing people don't understand is how close Kobe and I still are, even in death.
Mm-hmm.
I had the opportunity in 2015, he called me up. I went down, I hung out with him because he was about to retire, and he wanted to start training the elite of the elite. And so he called me in, and we talked about it. He remembered everything I taught him. And I said, Kobe, remember? Because I said, remember when I told you? He said, I remember that. And he started ripping off all these other things and how much I've helped him. And I was kind of blown away. I kind of knew it, but for him to say, yeah, I remember that. And this is, you got to understand, 2015, that's 15 years later.
Right.
And he's still, and he's talking about it. And it was like all of those little lessons. Because see, I saw him when he was just at his coming out party, when he came out, when he started really becoming Kobe Bryant in a big way. The best way to do what you want to do is not to do it, just intend it and then allow it to happen. Mm. See, this is a lot of like Zen martial art kind of, but that's what I would bring into it. From martial arts, from my being a practitioner of Tai Chi and the internal martial arts and that sort of thing for years. It just that philosophy, that Bruce Lee philosophy, be like water, just say yes to it. The student said, well, one of my legs is shorter than the other one. He says, okay, now you know which one you're going to kick with. That's the thing. Okay, so Derek Fisher, he gets hurt, breaks his foot. I said, no problem, Fish. Let's come back better than you were before you got hurt. So it's that growth mindset, that yes, I can mindset. That's okay. Everything is workable, and it's a challenge. It's an opportunity. That mindset, you need to have that mindset. And so when you talk about MJ and Kobe, they had it in spades, where I don't care what it was. Man, first time I met MJ, he had some kind of thing on his finger, and they had the stem thing on, and I'm teaching him some yoga stretches and stuff. And I said, oh, MJ, you don't have to do it. He said, no, he's going to do it. He's doing, that's the mentality. That's that mama mentality. That's that mindset. It's like, they see it as a challenge. Well, let me see, I can do this.
Yeah.
Tim tells Michael to do 10 lifts. Like Michael's going to do at least 15, maybe 20. Right. See, that's the mindset. So you think about it, they're doing the Olympics, and LeBron and Melo and Chris Paul and D Wade coming down. Kobe, what you doing? I'm getting my workout in. We played today. So what? Yeah. See, now that's why I keep telling people, I'm not trying to say this one better than the other, whatever, but there's a different motor. There's a different approach. Kobe, like more old school, like MJ, that old school mode where they, and I'm not saying the other guys are doing it because they're working out hard. They're spending a lot of money. LeBron is amazing. He spends a lot of money all them cats work hard. I know LeBron does for sure, but there's a different mentality, and part of that might do with when you grow up or what the world was like when you come along.
Yeah.
What's the game changer is the mindset. It's how we direct our attention, our consciousness.
Speaking of LeBron, what is your sense of like how tapped in he is?
I love LeBron and I love his approach. I see him, getting his body. He puts it in. Tom Brady's another puts it in. They get busy. We don't see how many hours them cats are putting in to their craft in the off season and when they're not playing, because that's the only way you can do what that dude has been able to do. And the challenge for him is, and I can see it with those guys, and you see it. I saw it with Scottie Pippen, where they get a three-peat, then they win an Olympic gold, and you playing into June. That wear and tear on your body. Look at Klay Thompson, man, he's still recovering from that. So certain people, man, they're like, for LeBron to go through all of that stuff he's been through, and I'm not talking about just playing, I mean at a high level, and being a focal point and having to organize as well as perform.
When you talk about like approaching that anxiety, I think you say even in your book, the only way out is in.
True.
Is it through or
it's true? It's like, okay, anxiety. It's like, okay, so we suffer when we say what is happening shouldn't be happening, but it's happening.
Right.
So if you say, okay, so I'm gonna feel a little anxiety, a little hyper, but I know that that's a signpost or that's a milestone to flow. Now it's like I'm gonna bring more energy in because I'm close.
Right.
Where other people withdraw energy, you're gonna bring more energy in, but it's not just energy, it's understanding of what are the essential and what you need to do.
What is it about meditation that helps basketball players and athletes?
My definition of meditation is something that you can do from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep. So to meditate means to contemplate. To contemplate means to look at repeatedly, to look at closely. So the philosopher that talks about meditation in the way that I'm talking about it is Dr. Dre. I got my mind on money, money on my mind. So from moment to moment, whatever your mind is on, that's what's on your mind. So what's on your mind manifests. We create with the word. So a form of meditation is being really clear of what it is you're creating and what feelings you are directing your attention to. So it's about directing your attention and seeing how it's affecting you and asking the question, is it helping or is it not? Am I focused on being a master, or am I focused on understanding that the path is mastery? And in the moment, if I master the moment, I'm going to end up being a master. If you look at when you perform well, when you feel the best, it's because you're fully engaged in the moment as it is unfolding. You're in the moment, you're not thinking about it, you're experiencing it. So how does meditation help? Because it helps you become flow ready, but it also helps you to get clarity about how you are thinking, feeling, and behaving. And whether, if you say you're a champion, are you thinking and feeling and behaving as a champion, or you just acting like a novice, or there's no motion to it? You have to understand that to win a championship, you have to be a champion. You got to act like you're a champion before you win one. So meditation helps you because the only time we have is now. And you, to the degree that you can express yourself honestly, like Bruce Lee says, that's what martial arts is, to express yourself honestly. Like I'm saying, okay, so I want to perform this way. And if I can have that thought and then manifest that the way I want to manifest it, that's self-expression. And I'm doing it based on who I am and the way I need to do it. That's what it's about. It helps us to do that. So meditation, now we're looking at meditation, is what you're creating, what you're manifesting, and how you're directing your attention, and how you are dealing with the changing environment. So there's this idea of the military term called VUCA, V-U-C-A. Everything is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous from moment to moment. So a lot of times we don't know that, but you'll be doing that and you could be like when they had the fires in California, or it's a hurricane, or you got the river rising, in that moment, man, you had no idea. You had some people in California, man, they didn't have time to get their license or their car keys or anything else. You got to go. If something happens real quick, things can happen just like that. So we have to deal with that. That's a reality. We don't know from moment to moment what's going to happen. But if we create this possibility of no matter what happens, if I can create space between stimulus and response, in that space, I get to choose. And so meditation is huge for life. And life is, you got to be fully alive to play and compete and to be elite. You have to be able to be in the moment, be locked in, and have your whole body, mind, heart, and soul on the same page, engaged in the present moment, dictated by what your intention is and what you say you want to do and who you need to be. I don't play sports like I used to, but I read a lot, I study a lot, I have these interactions, and each time I have them, I learn, I grow. So to me, I'm out of my comfort zone. I'm in flow a lot. Why? Because I know the conditions. I'm not trying to be in flow. I just know the flow on the go, you grow.
To be able to talk with you again, seriously, I'm very grateful.
I know, I know his name. So we did this before. So let's keep it going, man. I appreciate you, man. I love you, brother. I just am happy you're doing what you're doing.